What up, Internet? I am the PC Goblin. And full disclosure, I've actually recorded this intro several times and I thought I had it done, but when I went to go edit it, it was completely blurry because my camera didn't want to actually focus on me for whatever reason. But I was talking to my friends over at Be Quiet, telling them about a special project that I've got going on. So subscribe to my channel so you can see that coming up in the near future, so probably within the next month or so. With talking to them about the project, they decided to send me a straight Power 11 power supply, and this is a 750 watt fully modular power supply that I'm actually really excited to use. But previously I've always been using an EVGA power supply, like this 850 G3 Supernova power supply that I've had for a couple years now. They've now refreshed it with the G5, but I've actually been pretty unhappy with the G3 because under very little load, like 107, 110 watts, and I measured that using a kilowatt, it would spin the fan up like really loud at 50 decibels, and yes, that was with eco mode on and off, and it was just really loud. Like, it was the loudest thing on my wet bench by far. And when it would shut the fan off, it was great. It was super quiet, ran great, but for whatever reason, it would get super hot when I was sitting in the open air, pulling very little wattage and always, you know, spin down or whatever. Because of the issues I've had with the G3, I really want to see what this Be Quiet is like. But I'm going to open it up and test it out on my wet bench so I can see just how much different it is. But let's go ahead and unbox it and see just how different it is. Okay, so we've got a user manual. Power cables. More power cables. Another power cable. And then finally the power supply. The straight Power 11 power supply, 750 watt version, comes with virtually inaudible Silent Wings 3 135mm fan, modular cables for build flexibility, it's an 80 plus gold efficiency up to 93%, powerful multi-GPU support with 4 PCI Express connectors, Japanese 105 Celsius rated capacitors ensure stability and reliability, and it comes with one 24-pin motherboard cable, 1 to 2 P4 connectors, so for your CPU, and then a single 12-volt P8 connector for your CPU as well. And then one PCI Express to 2 6+2 8 pins, and then 2 6+2 PCIe cables, 2 power cables that have 2 SATA ports on it, a Molex connector, and then a hard drive connector, and then it also has a hard drive to FDD or a floppy disk adapter, and then it comes with a 4-port SATA cable and then a 3-port SATA cable. Now we've gone through all the technical details of the power supply, and I have it hooked up to my wet bench right here. You can kind of see it right here, and I've got pretty much every single port of it plugged in. I've got 2 graphics cards. However, I haven't tested it with 2 graphics cards, but I have tested it pretty hard at about 350, 360 watts according to my kilowatt that it was plugged into. So I was running IDA 64 on my CPU right here, so the Ryzen 7 1700X or 1800X, something like that. And then my Vega 56 card, I was running through heaven, so it was, you know, at max load. And I ran that for a long time, and honestly, I could not hear the power supply. It was super quiet, but even though I was pulling, you know, 350, 360 watts, so a little less than 50% power, I could not hear the power supply. It was super quiet. And just to make sure I wasn't hearing anything, I'd put my ear down here close to where the power supply was. I just couldn't hear it. My fans on the back on the radiator blowing were a lot louder. The chipset fan on my motherboard was the loudest thing out of everything. The video card was loud. Now it's kind of an extreme circumstance because, like I said, this is an open test bench, so you're going to hear a lot more noise out of this than you would a normal PC case. But previously I had an 850 watt EVGA G3 power supply that I was running off of this, and at 1/3 of the workload, so like 100, 120 watts, the fan on the power supply would kick up. It would be insanely loud, and there was nothing wrong with the power supply. I actually had EVGA RMA it 2 or 3 times, and all of them did the exact same thing. It really didn't matter. It was just super loud. It was on the quiet mode, so it really shouldn't have been, but it was. So just to go over the things I don't like about this power supply, because nothing in this world is perfect, especially if it's man-made, which pretty much every computer part is. I don't necessarily like how the power cables plug into it. There's really nothing wrong with it. It just seems kind of weird how the plugs are. Like, they're extra wide, and it's just a little bit different. I'm just pointing out something I don't necessarily like about it. It won't affect any kind of use with it. It doesn't affect like actually plugging cables into it. It's just odd in my opinion. Other than my little hiccup with it, I can't find anything wrong with it. It looks good, it's easy to install, or at least just like any other power supply. The cables that come with are a lot higher quality than, say, that comes with a Corsair, especially at that price point. I bought a 1500 watt titanium rated power supply from Corsair, and it came with the cheapest, crappiest cables I've ever seen. This comes with awesome cables. They're not individually sleeved cables, but I mean, they are sleeved, so they look good. And if you look at Be Quiet's rating for sound per usage of the power supply, at even 100% load, this thing only does 21 decibels. So you could be pulling 750 watts with it. Like, if you could pull 750 watts with it on your computer, it's still going to be whisper quiet. The noise in the room that you're sitting in is going to be louder. Like, if we look at my Apple Watch with its sound meter, currently my room sits at 30 decibels. So that's 9 decibels quiet than just standing noise in a room. So my takeaways with this, if you're looking for a high quality power supply, this thing is rated up to 93% efficiency. So it's even more efficient than the latest G5 power supply with EVGA, which actually runs a little bit cheaper, but it's in the same market as this, I believe. So it's a little more efficient, and it's extremely quiet. So if you're looking for a power supply that for sure doesn't make any noise, you definitely want to take a look at the Be Quiet power supplies. And because of that, I'm really excited to use it in a future build that I've got coming up, so subscribe to my channel so you can see that. But other than that, I don't know what to tell you to show off what this power supply can or can't do. I've tried to put it to its limits. The Ryzen isn't the most high-end power-hungry chip, but I mean, I was pulling 350 or 360 watts artificially. I'd be surprised if your system actually goes more than that. If there's something you guys want to know about the power supply, please leave a comment in the section below, or at least let me know what you thought about this video. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button. I hope that you want to see more of my stuff, especially a future project that this power supply is going to go into, so hit that subscribe button so you can see that coming up. And I'll see you next time, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.